Welcome wherever you are watching around the world to Sepang International Circuit, round 3 of the Asian Le Mans Series 2019-2020, and it's all started a little bit earlier this time round. Something new for this round 3. Graham Goodwin is in the studio with me, as he always is. Graham, that's something new, is we get to actually watch free practice for the first time ever.
And yeah, we can bring it to you live on the series YouTube and Facebook channels. And we'll be joined in the studio here throughout the 90 minutes of track action under the floodlights here at Sepang by a variety of guests up and down the paddock. Exciting time for us.
It is really, really exciting. And of course, don't forget, you can get in touch as well. We want this to be as interactive as possible. If you are watching on the official Facebook page, you can leave your comments there, of course. But don't forget the handles, hashtag 4 Hours Sepang, hashtag Asian Le Mans, and hashtag Endurance Racing for Asia. And while we're on that, I want to thank you for all of the tweets and comments that we've had so far. It's halfway through the season. I think that's where we should start. As Graham said, we're going to have a lot of VIP guests, shall we say, joining us in that third seat. That's why Graham's actually sitting a little bit closer than he usually does.
But we are very close.
We are very close after all this time. But they're going to be coming in, these special guests from some of the teams around the championship, to tell us how they've been preparing for this weekend. There's a number of significant factors we have to look at, Graham, for this weekend. It is, first of all, let's look at this. It's under the lights at Sepang.
Yep, cars are already on track. We're already 2.5 minutes into this 90-minute session, and they are going to look great. And guess what? A red flag as we go live here. Well, let's talk about one of the cars we can actually see there on the red flag. It's the number 51 car, just coming to the bottom of the screen there. Started this weekend as one of 4 Evo versions of the new Ferrari 488. It's for the 34 car.
Wow.
That's a puncture to the left rear. Is that a puncture, or is that's the wheel? The wheel has come off.
Well, let's just get the viewers up to speed with what's been happening. Of course, there are 2 free practice sessions before qualifying, which will be happening tomorrow, and the race, of course, which is going to be at 5 o'clock Malaysian time. One of those free practice sessions happened just about an hour ago, and it actually saw a sudden torrential downpour, which I think shocked everyone. Has that puncture that we've just seen on the screen, or any of the red flags, got anything to do with this crazy weather condition that suddenly turned up?
The weather conditions absolutely took people by surprise. We expected some rain through the weekend. We expect some rains for tomorrow's race, which is going to be around the same time. But the level of rain and the fact that it stayed with us for the vast majority of the free practice session, I think, did surprise people. Track was saturated at times. Dries, of course, here very, very quickly. 34 car there, by the way, was the fastest car in that session. And the hands of Matthias Besch. It was James Winslow aboard the car, but it looks to me as if that's the wheel that has come completely clear. You can see there, and that, my guess, is it's going to be either a failure, more likely finger trouble by the team. Into Europol here with 4 cars, 2 LMP2 Ligiers, 2 LMP3 Ligiers, one of which is renumbered. We'll talk about that when we get there. Talk to the team, we'll see the car a little bit later. But it's a big effort from that team, and perhaps just a little bit of finger trouble in the pit stop while they're preparing to send the car there. The team will be looking into that as to whether or not there's a broken component. You can see the wheel there being wheeled away by, it's what you do with the wheel, you wheel it away.
Is a problem like that, whether it's early at the session or middle of the session, at the end of the session, difficult to handle?
Well, the problem now is you've got a choice of lifting that car or dragging it and doing further damage. So hopefully no real damage to the number 34 car. Hopefully we can get that car recovered very quickly. But this is, of course, spending some time there on track. We've got the Nielsen normas to be first back out onto the track, and we're going to have one of the drivers from the Nielsen Racing team is going to be with us in just a few moments. First of a number of guests.
First of all, VIP guests, as we promised at the top of the show. Charles Cruz is going to be here to tell us exactly, well, what happened just then. But this is a strange start to the opening of the session, isn't it, Graham?
Absolutely. So we've got sitting with us now, and to my left, to your right, Charles, good to see you here. You've been with us for the whole season. Wasn't a particularly happy race for you guys last time out. Very difficult race last time out. 2 cars used in that race, neither of which really were behaving themselves. But tell us a little bit about the season so far. How are you finding the Asian Le Mans Series Challenge?
Well, Australia was a race to forget. There's no doubt about that. Really loving the championship. It's been came over here. I did all the rounds with Garrett Grist last year with United Autosport, not as a driver but as his manager. And then this year shifted into a slightly different role, still as Garrett's manager, but also in the cockpit with Rob Hodez and Garrett this season.
Now, manager to driver, is that a promotion or a demotion?
It depends on the day. That's certain. Depends on the day.
Tell us a little bit about the LMP3 cars from the perspective of someone coming into international motorsport for the very first time at this kind of level. Carbon tub for the car, steel roll hoop, but plenty of both grip and power from those little cars.
No, I think it's a great formula from being reasonably cost effective, right? We're in the realms of racing where nothing is reasonable, but it's a lot more reasonable than most other championships, and you still get that performance of a prototype of the horsepower, the lightness, the downforce, and it's been a great training tool for Rob and Garrett, who I think will step to P2 at some point. It's just that right formula for them to race, and they race. But what's incredible about the two of them is they're racing in North American IMSA and P3, they're racing ELMS and Le Mans Cup together, and they're racing over here. So they're racing all around the world in the same Norma Nielsen.
The other thing about this format with LMP3 is, of course, you've got drivers at all sorts of different levels of their career. Garrett, we know, has already got a winning record all around the world in LMP3. Rob, learning his trade, and a very typical gentleman driver with, I'm guessing, the Le Mans 24 Hours somewhere on his bucket list somewhere in the near future.
There's definitely a couple of very big races that are on Rob's bucket list, and the important thing for us is make sure he does them when he's ready and when he can be successful at them. There's a lot of people that step up too early. They have very short life cycles in racing, and then you don't see them. You know, you see these guys come in for 1 or 2 years, and then they're out and poof, and we forgot about them. Then you see guys like Ben Keating, who've been around for a really long time, Tracy Crone, really long time, and they've had success, they've had race wins, they've had, an impact on the sport, and that's what we're looking to do with Rob.
Tell us a little bit about Nielsen Racing, a bit of a switch for you guys from United Autosports to Nielsen. Switch as well, of course, the Norma chassis here. Very well-established team, one of the most successful teams globally in LMP3 racing. Tell us a bit about why the switch and what you're finding with Sven Thompson and his boys and girls there.
Mr. Thompson is an awesome man, and obviously a big foundation between the reasoning for the switch. The Norma was the other larger factor. Next year is very much up in the air for Le Mans Cup. Here, we knew the Norma was going to be dominant. We knew in IMSA the Norma was going to be dominant. So these were no-brainers. Barcelona, there's going to be some question marks. We're fingers crossed that, I think we've had some solid testing so far and have a good indication of what we should expect with the new car. But we won't know until things settle.
It's almost like that's the next step. Maybe a lot of people will be thinking next step is LMP2, but for you guys, the next step is LMP3 Classic, if you like, to LMP3 Nova, which comes in Europe from next year, and we'll be seeing you guys out there and battling again.
Yes, and I think it will be a great little indicator for Rob to, just a small stepping stone for him to jump up into a faster car before the P2. So there is a huge differential in speed between, we have a little action going on there.
Yeah, I was just about to actually bring it back. I was looking at some of the times for the Nielsen cars.
Yeah, we're back to green, aren't we?
Far.
That's Danielle Frost in the number 33 into Europol car.
18-year-old Singaporean driver, right?
It's had rather an exciting weekend so far, and there's more excitement there. Big lot of dust. You saw that. I was looking at you rather than that.
Yes.
Well,
what was
Charles,
that?
at that point, as we see that happening on the screen, I got to ask you, what are your thoughts on Sepang and Sepang at night?
Well, I don't have a thought on it at night because yesterday was getting dim, but it still wasn't dark, and I get to experience it at night here in about 30 minutes.
And you're looking forward to that?
I love the circuit. Actually, all the Asian Le Mans tracks have been really, really cool. The Bend, obviously a frustrating weekend for us.
That was an unbelievable track, though.
But yeah, I've never been to a place like it. It's absolutely insane.
I actually have to say, some of the comments that have resulted since that race, I don't think anybody knew exactly how challenging that track was. There's just been 35 turns, 7.7 kilometers. What? It just doesn't make sense.
It felt more like a hill climb or a rally than it did. You only got to see the corners, every 5 minutes. It was crazy.
Well, we've got cars back out on track. We're going to thank you for the moment, Charles, for coming and joining us. The good news from your perspective is second quickest overall at the moment.
Yes, right
Your
now.
car,
Car's running good.
Looking very good.
Okay, we're getting cars back up to speed. For now, Charles, enjoy the experience out there around the Sepang International Circuit, and we've got we've got the rest of the weekend with qualifying and of course 4 hours of racing tomorrow to enjoy.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Charles.
You guys have a good night.
Well, Graham, that's fantastic insight then to everyone watching. That's the kind of insight that you're going to be getting over the next 1 hour and 18 minutes. We've got a lot more people coming through. But right now, let's just take stock of what's happening. Have a look at the times, Graham. Tell me how this session is evolving.
Right, what we've got at the moment is cars beginning to get back out of the circuit for back to green flag racing after that incident for the number 34 into Europol Ligier. Quickest overall at the moment, Nick Foster aboard the number 36 car. That's good news for them because there was damage for that car at the end of the previous free practice session. Roberto Meri losing the car in those wet conditions and with bodywork damage to the rear of the car. It's a Eurasia 1-2. The Eurasia 1-2, Daniel Gaunt at the moment aboard the number 1 car. That is the New Zealand liveried car. Garrett Chris still right up there, third quickest overall. He's just pitting now in the number 3 Norma, but the rest of these cars getting up to speed pretty rapidly. In GT, it's a Ferrari leading the way. The Evo version of 488 in the hands of Marcos Gomez in the 27, and the J-Lock Lamborghini is second. But we're going to go now to our next to our studio guest. I'm delighted to be joined by somebody that is not going to be racing this weekend, but is going to be racing with us next weekend at Buriram for his Asia Le Mans Series debut. Welcome to the Asia Le Mans Series paddock to Tom Gamble, and you're joining Tom the D-Station Racing Aston Martin team. Get it right, Graham. Yes. Because, of course, Ross Gunn is going to be on WC duty with that unfortunate clash with the FIWC. You've only been here for just less than 24 hours. I'm going to have to ask the question, how are you finding it so far?
Yeah, I mean, it's good. It's obviously a different climate for me. I've never actually been over to kind of the Asia side before. But yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. Weather's a lot better than England. Well, when I left there, it was raining.
Except for about an hour ago, when it was pretty bad.
But obviously, we got a set of shorts on, which is always good. But no, it's good. I'm enjoying it, and obviously ready to get going next weekend.
You're an excellent example of a very different era in motorsport now. Very young man still. How old now?
18.
18.
18 years old. Let me just say, Tom, I would love to have you, Tom. Absolutely fantastic.
2018 McLaren Autosport Award winner. As a result of that, we'll come on to what part that prize was, because it's pretty exceptional prize fund. But you've had a fair amount of your career since then in GT cars. Raced with WRT in the Audi. You've raced in the Road to Le Mans series with Tom Ferrier's team aboard at Aston Martin. Tell us a little bit now about the way the career choices lie in front of guys like you.
Yeah, I mean,
Great question.
motorsport's changed a bit to how it kind of used to be. For me, after winning the award, I want to do single-seaters again and move up to the European Formula 3, but the prices now in sport, obviously, you probably know what it's like. It's fortunes to kind of get to the top of the single-seater ladder. So for me, it was kind of a no-brainer really to switch as early as I could and try and get experience in GTs, and obviously this year now we're doing prototypes as well, so that would be really good. But yeah, as a driver, I want to do single-seaters back in last year now, 2019. But yeah, it was for me the logical thing was to go to GTs, because even if I could get the budget for Formula 3, you've then got to try and get for Formula 2, which is twice as much. So it
all sounds so tough to drive these wonderful cars. But Tom, just a quick question. As Graham said, you've just turned up. I bet it's a shock even being here talking to us. But what have you made of the team so far and this coming weekend?
Yeah. I mean, they're a great team. I've been around them all day now so far, and the pace is looking good in the car, which is great. And they're a very good team. Run by experienced people. And obviously AMR being involved in it as well, which is great. And then obviously the drivers, good. Ross knows what he's doing, and so does Tom and Noble.
Have you had a chance yet to even test the car? This version of the car, not this car, but this version of the Aston Martin?
Well, obviously I drove the for TF, like you said earlier, and did a few test days before that. So I have not loads of experience compared to some of them, but experience in the car. And luckily for me, the Michelin Le Mans Cup was always on the Michelin tyre, which this one is too. So that's really good. So fingers crossed, it'll be a good weekend next time.
We should mention that, because the bit that I didn't mention for our viewers was the fact that you've got a full season deal with an Asian Le Mans Series favourite, title winners here, the United Autosports team, in an LMP3
Seriously,
car
I'm quitting.
for the full season this coming year. Looking forward to that. With some other great circuits on your calendar this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be incredible for me. The LMP3 is the LMP route, something I wanted to do for a while now, and yeah, we've been talking to United for a few years now actually about trying to get involved, and we're doing a series of them, and then you know, they kind of said, you know, are you interested in doing this? And the two drivers that I'm with this year, you know, both fantastic. So for us, you know, it's full attack on trying to win the championship. I haven't actually driven the new style LMP3 yet, but I drove the old one at the McLaren Autosport Award back in 2018 and really enjoyed it and went really well on it. So no, I think it's going to be a really good year.
So you've got an ideal opportunity here, not only to get a handle on the team you'll be driving for next weekend, but also to take a look at these LMP2 cars, which is, my guess is, somewhere on your radar. And you, I'm sure, have been a very interested spectator in what's going on in the background with Convergence for a brand new top class in sports car racing that stands with the opportunity, the possibility of offering a massive boost to the career aspirations of guys just like you.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. If all the manufacturers can get involved, like everyone hopes, it will be huge for prototype race, and like you say, it will create big opportunities for drivers like me. Which is why, you know, if I can perform well this year, and obviously in 2021, you know, I should be in good stead for a good drive.
Final word will be about that prize for the McLaren Autosport Awards. Now, you've got a smile appearing on your face to mention it, as you absolutely should as a young professional driver. Just tell the viewers what part that prize was. Yeah, I mean, obviously winning the 2018 McLaren Autosport BRDC Award, I got to drive the 2013 last of the V8 Formula 1 cars for McLaren at Silverstone, which was, it was phenomenal. Something I definitely won't be forgetting quickly, but no, it was awesome. The speed was something I wasn't ready for. It is that thing, isn't it, of taking any opportunity you can get, soaking that up and deciding as things come your way just where you can deploy that experience. I'm sure that's been useful in many ways. Yeah, definitely. I mean, everything you're getting now kind of feels a bit slow compared to that. But yeah, it was definitely, you know, to even have it on your CV that you've driven a Formula 1 car, you know, that automatically makes teams think, you know, oh, it must be pretty all right, which is good. But yeah, it was an awesome experience, and definitely I took a lot from it, and obviously working closely with McLaren as well, such a high kind of pedigree team, and working on the simulator as well was fantastic. Think about your answer to this question just for a moment, because I'd like you to explain to our listeners and our viewers in just a few words the experience of driving a contemporary Formula 1 car. I mean, you know, from our point of view, the problem with TV is it can make it look quite easy, but it's not easy. It's almost a violent experience. Yeah, I mean, it's everything from the speed, you know, down the straight. I think he was getting to 180, 190 into Stowe at Silverstone, which is, you know, big speeds for an 18-year-old. And yeah, it was crazy around the corner as well, the aerodynamics. I think around Silverstone I was doing 135 or something, which, you know, in a GT3 car in the year I was doing 2 minutes, so it was quite a bit less than that, but it's still, you know, it's a massive time difference. Huge. So yeah, it's really good, and no, so it's a lot to get used to. Obviously the brakes on them are massive, so it's a lot to take in as a driver, and like I say, I took a lot from it, and hopefully, you know, it's improved my skills as a driver. Cherish those memories and use them to go where your career is going to take you next. Definitely. Very talented young man. You're going to be hearing a lot more about Tom Gamble, not least of which here in the Asian Le Mans Series, he'll be aboard the 77 D-Station Racing Aston Martin Vantage GT3 in Buriram next weekend. Remember, back-to-back races to finish the season here. For now, Tom, we'll say thank you. We'll let you go back and observe what's going on track and enjoy that experience. And we will see you next week. Thank you.
Now, before we get to our next guest, just a quick update on what's happening at free practice right now. Graham, team 30, car number 34, the Inter-Europol endurance car that we saw off at the side of the track, has now been investigated because of mechanics working on that car?
Working on the car outside the permitted zone. So the reality at the moment is the team manager's been called to race control. My guess is that might have been a little bit of panic on the parts of Europol, but that could be an expensive moment for them, at the very least financially, if not a penalty coming their way that will restrict their track time. So let's wait and see what happens for that. The 34 car is now back on. No, it's not. Sorry, it's obviously been moved to a place of safety. Will not be recovered, I don't think, for the team later this evening. To the top of timing and scoring has gone the championship leading, absolutely, the Aura 01 from G-Drive Racing by Algar Pro, and Roman Rusinov was aboard that car, going very, very quickly. He's leapfrogged both of the Eurasia Ligiers. LMP3 at the moment led still by Gerrit Grist. The 18 car I'm hearing, it's further bad news, I'm afraid, for Inter Europol. The 18 car, their new entry this weekend, stopped off track at turn 14, has rejoined. Second place in LMP3 is the Graf Racing number 9 car. They've got 2 cars here this weekend. We'll talk about that, I'm sure, later in this broadcast. Hub Auto course with T2, now 1-2 for Ferrari in GT. We mentioned LMP3, we mentioned Ligier and LMP2, but delighted to have in the studio with us now, well, Team, I always like to call you guys Team Malaysia.
Team Malaysia, yes.
I'm going to call you Team Malaysia for sure.
Douglas Khoo from Vipanisa Racing. Douglas, a delight to have you guys back.
Thanks for having me.
Fabulous boys that actually prepare the Ligier for yourself and for Dominic Ang. You've had a busy weekend already so far, because you're not just racing here with the LMP3 car, you're also out there in TCR.
Yes, I am. Actually, yes, I am. So, yes, it's been... well, you know, at my age, we have to get as much mileage as possible. So why not drive as much as possible? Obviously, it becomes a bit more difficult because one's a front wheel and the other's a rear wheel.
Yep.
So I just have to switch between cars and make sure that...
How tough is that? How tough is that to make that, particularly in the conditions we saw earlier this evening?
Yeah. I think with the rain, you tend to drive both the cars about the same. But then if it's dry, then you would probably drive the TCR a bit harder, where you're actually on the gas much quicker, whereas on the rear wheel, you actually need to feather the throttle in. Yeah.
That's, if there's one person, Graham, you got to listen to. I said I do a lot of commentating up at Sepang. Douglas Khoo and Vipanisa are involved in so many championships that they know Sepang in wet conditions, completely different from Sepang in dry conditions. In fact, there are only a few drivers around these local motorsport circles in Malaysia who can actually drive well in wet conditions.
I'm hoping that tomorrow will rain, because I love rain.
Great. I mean, and the other thing about this track is the way in which the Malaysian climate works is not like we have in Northern Europe.
No,
absolutely not at all.
It was actually heavier rain than I think we expected this afternoon.
Yes.
But it dries so quickly.
Yep. Yeah. So now the guys are on the proper racing line and it's dry.
Yep. You know, and actually that means that even if you have a downpour, a tyre call is absolutely critical.
Yes.
And we saw that in the F3 race with teams stopping and then having to stop again within 2-3 laps. It was extraordinary.
I think the tricky bit would be when it's about to rain, but it's not going to rain, and we start the race, and then we kind of
dry, slick, slick.
We don't know whether it's going to be dry, wet, and then you take a gamble. So, you know, that's racing in Sepang, and I think fortunately that we've raced here enough where we know it's how the track is in the dry and how the track is in the wet. I think that's a slight advantage for us, hopefully for tomorrow.
Douglas, just bringing us up to speed for the weekend. The last time we had you on the program, Nadia was interviewing you, of course, in South Australia at the best. You spent a lot of time in the pits at the start of that race, a couple of challenges you had to face. What happened there? Of course, it was overheating, was one of them?
So in the first lap, Dominic got tagged by one of the GT cars, and he had to come into, so we replaced the nose cone and a bit of the side port, and that sort of affected the radiator a bit. And then sort of continued. We had a stop and go penalty during one of the safety cars, and then the temperature started creeping up. So we just had to retire the car because we just want to gamble with.
All fixed now, everything ready for this weekend?
Everything. The car's running fine.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Sepang.
Okay.
And our pride in this place.
Yes.
And now I've been lucky enough to be here for a few days, and you and I had a quick conversation about what a fabulous country this is. It's a beautiful country.
Honorary Malaysia.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And the people just so welcoming. But just Tell us a bit about the sense of pride in welcoming this grid to your country and your home track.
I don't know. It's I don't know how to put it in words, but it's always great to have international pro drivers coming to race at Sepang. It's a track that's really well done. There's technical bits, there's fast bits. It's got everything that a racer would want, and I'm sure that everyone's enjoying the track.
Now, from Vipadisa being involved in so many different championships, have you already raced in some form under these lights?
Oh yes, we have. We've done one of the local races, MSF, a couple of years ago under the lights. The lights are brilliant. You don't really need to have the car lights on to see the track.
Oh, it's that bright.
It's that bright,
right.
yeah. So it's as good as Singapore.
I heard that there's also no glare at any point. They're all set up at just the right point.
So it's perfect.
Now we're actually looking at your team right now. This is what an honored experience for us here. Well, Dominic's in the car. He's put in a couple of laps already. How do you see this is going?
It's going to be good. So in the dry run, he hasn't had that much time in the car. So I said, well, I also wanted to take a break from TCR. So after having qualifying so he's just getting time in the car, getting used to the track conditions, and hopefully he'll set up the car well enough for both of us to drive fast.
You've been making strides in terms of your pace, your consistency, the team with you. You had Nigel Moore with you last season, of course. Dominic's back in the car now. Yep. You and I have shared this paddock many times in Sprint Cup times with podiums there in the guest days. I mean, it does seem to be making the steady strides that we hope and expect will come with teams that come and commit to a championship. You've already come to play at Le Mans for the Road to Le Mans. Are we going to see you there again?
Hopefully. We don't know yet. I haven't quite made up my plans for the year. There are a few races that I actually want to do this year as well. Last year was just epic doing Road to Le Mans, and it's the atmosphere there is just extraordinary. There's never a race like this anywhere in the world.
I love the way you're talking about it.
That's exactly it.
Yes, and what we want to do as the Malaysian team is to be able to one day win one of the tickets from Asia Le Mans to go and race for 24 hours.
Fantastic.
That'll be my dream, but probably not this year because we're behind a few points. But
well, as I said, you are one of the longest running teams we've seen, obviously, at Asia Le Mans.
Yeah.
And I remember one of the classic moments at Fuji when you had the Vipadisa, you had the Mount Fuji appearance. There are memories along the way that you're never going to cherish.
And we've actually done well in Fuji for some strange reason. The first year we came in second. The second year we were running in second, but we actually had some glitches along the way, and that cost us the podium. But all good.
You're ticking off the life experiences, aren't you?
Yes.
This is what this is all about. And if you're listening and watching, just look at this man's face. He's loving every moment of this, and it's a delight when you actually get to share time and share space in a podium like this, in a paddock like this, with guys like you that don't have to come here and spend the time and the resource, but choose to do it because this is what lights the fire.
That's
Absolutely.
right.
Life is unpredictable, so you do what you need to do and enjoy it.
You heard it here first. Oh, you saw it here.
Douglas, keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing it for Malaysia and for Vipadisa Racing. It's a delight to have you back up here.
Thank you very much, guys.
And best of luck this weekend as well. It's just beginning this weekend.
Yeah. Pray for rain. Pray for rain.
Thank you very much, Douglas.
Cheers, mate.
That's all new. It's a hashtag Pray for Rain from Douglas Khoo there. More guests will be joining us in the next, I think there's an hour left of the session, but don't be afraid. We are going to keep you up to date with what's happening in free practice. As we said, Matthias Besch was fastest for Inter-Europol in that rain-soaked first session. What's happening now, Graham?
But it's obviously been a topsy-turvy session for that team. Top of the shop in the earlier session. Bottom here after that lost wheel that's caused the team difficulties and a call to race control. Team manager car 7 now has been called to race control. That's the car guy Ferrari. Let's wait and see what that one's all about. There were a couple of issues, by the way, reported earlier about red flag potential infringements being investigated. We'll wait and see what that one. No major changes at the moment in the order in the major classes. Hobota Corsa still lead GT. It's still Nielsen Racing's number 3 car, quickest in LMP3. We've just seen an improvement from Cody Ware in one of the 2 cars in LMP2, and we'll come to that class in a moment. And as I say it, Anthony Lazzaro goes to the top in Rick Ware Racing's 25 car. He goes ahead of the team car, so it's 25 now ahead of 52, 159.981, just edges back by a couple of tenths the mark set by Cody Ware in the Sister 52 car. It is still the number 26 car at the top of the shop. And the 26 car, James French at the wheel of that car, it was Roman Rusinov that actually set the time. 1:53.788 is the time for anybody else to beat this evening. Delighted to be met by the 3rd name in that crew, and this is a young man with a bit of a story to tell about sports car racing and progression. Welcome to the TV booth to the 3rd driver in the number 26, the championship leading car, Leonard Hugenboom. Leonard, it's a delight to have you with us. I'll explain a little bit about your journey here, if I might. Now, remind me, Michelin Le Mans Cup with DKR?
DKR, yes.
Which year, remind me?
2018.
And a championship winner there.
Yes, also first year, and we won the Reckless Championship, so it was really good.
Okay.
Debut.
Yeah.
Stepping up into a part season with Panis Bartes in the Ligier LMP2 in ELMS last year, and now a championship leading season in the Iris 01, the Orica built chassis with the Iris homologation for G-Drive Racing by Algarve with James French and with Roman Rusinov, one of the most experienced drivers we have on this grid. You're another man who's arrived in the TV booth with a smile on your face. It's all going your way at the moment.
Huge.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, there are a lot of good names, good drivers, and the category is quite high, dus we lead now the championships really good. And now we're in Malaysia, and then now we have the night session. But tomorrow in the end of the day we have the race, and also later at night.
Yeah, and tell us a little bit about those 2 races that kicked off the season. So great for G-Drive, Shanghai and the Bend. First, Shanghai, what was that like?
For me, Shanghai was really nice. I never been there. All the 4 tracks, I never been there. It's really good, a nice track. Good car there, and everybody did a good job. And then the second race in Australia was quite a hard track. The normal track had 5 or maybe 15 corners, like
35.
But there 35 corners was quite crazy. But I quite like the track, and you can make there no mistake on its white line and then directly the grass. And that was.
Asian Le Mans Series is new for you this season. It's all new tracks. I don't think you've raced at any of them so
never.
far. Is that a challenge? Is that something you really enjoy? Yeah. Tell me a little bit about your approach to coming to.
Yeah, for sure. It's never easy to learn fast a new track, but I think we did a good testing and good commercializing before. It's a simulator and everything, and I think we can do here also a good job. Oh, it's now going to rain actually.
There you go.
How do you go?
we do that up here. We just did that just now.
It's this big red button. Yes.
Okay, right.
So, for the purposes of your career moving forward, clearly LMP2 is where your focus is right now.
Yeah, for sure.
You've got the speed, you've got a championship winning record behind you. You're here looking like a conservative run might actually help that to be a double championship winning CV in sports car racing. Tell us a little bit about the way forward. What do you now have to do to make it happen?
First, we need to finish this championship good. Like the process like now is really good. 2 more races this weekend Malaysia, next week Thailand, and when we do there a good job, then I hope to drive in ELMS also for 2020, and then from there drive 2 more years or LMP2, and then from there a lot of things go to change, and then look forward, but drive LMP2 in the long distance race for me now is the focus.
18 LMP2 cars in the European Le Mans Series for the full season. There does seem to be a kind of a new era coming forward with those LMP2 cars. Fantastic machines to watch. I'm sure they're absolutely amazing to drive. But hopes must be high that there's a career there for you.
Yeah, for sure. That's completely my plan. I drove a lot of cars, but the LMP2 for me is the best and a nice car that I've ever drove.
Tell us a little bit about it. Very powerful, 600 horsepower from those Gibson V8s,
Yeah.
but a lot of downforce.
Yeah, like crazy, massive downforce. All the cars quite okay, and still with a lot of downforce, you can really close racing. When you follow a car, you lose for sure downforce, but not a lot. But the brakes, the power, the aerodynamica, the grip in the corners is really crazy.
Now, there's been a little bit of criticism about the fact that not here, because we've got a great mixed grid of P2 cars here, but elsewhere the Orica chassis is dominating. You have that chassis here to play with. But as someone who's been in those races, certainly as someone who's called a lot of those races, the racing doesn't seem very one-mate to me. That is full on. It's really intense, yeah?
Yeah, for sure. It's never easy to drive the car, but I think we have a good setup and everything. It's okay to drive the car.
Talking of intense, Leonard, have a look at the screen right now.
dear.
That's
A
what's
lot of rain.
happening. It's a second free practice, second rainstorm. What do you have to say about Sepang at rainy at night?
I think it's really crazy to have rain, night, temperature also, but still raining like 2 hours ago, it was raining like hell, and the track was really fast clean, and now it's raining again. And in
It's
the
all-
night also, it's filthy.
It's all a little bit European, isn't it? But just rather warmer. We're going to let you get back to the team. Leonard, thank you very much for coming up and talking to us. Good luck for the race tomorrow. It's been a great season so far. Let's wait and see what yourself, Roman and James, Stu and Sam at APR can actually produce for the remaining 8 hours of racing.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Leonard. Now, getting back to, we're under an hour at this free practice session 2 now. And as you can see, as we just pointed out with Leonard, rain is beginning to come down. That is the Hub Autocorsa. Liam Talbot is driving that right now. That was the first of the 488s that had that Evo conversion, and it picked up a pole in the bend from it. Now all the Ferraris have that conversion.
They don't anymore, unfortunately, because there's been a bit of a problem for the 51 car. So they started the
Latest
weekend.
news.
They started the weekend with all Evo kits. So basically new front aero on the 488 GT3, but the 51 car had a bit of an issue in private testing
Spirit of race,
a couple of days ago, and they've not got, I'm afraid, a replacement front kit for that car. So that has reverted. The 51 car you'll see later, that's the car that's shared by Francesco Pianvanetti, together with Osvaldo Negri and, of course, Alessandro Pierguidi. They're the 3 longest names we have in a Scrabble competition for the Asian Le Mans series. That will be in the previous spec. Nothing wrong with that. That car will be balanced against the newer cars here, but we know from talking to Davide Rigon, Nadia talked to Davide about this kit at the bend last time out. A bit more bite for that car, so it's certainly better handling, gives the driver a little bit more predictability in the turns, but the 51 car will revert to the previous spec of aero.
A quick word on Hub Auto. They really turned their season around at the bend by getting that pole. They had a very good run out. What do you say about this team?
Do you know what? I think they're a bit of an emerging force. We've seen them take some very big scalps in international motorsport, including wins in the Intercontinental GT Challenge, won the California 8 Hours, including, by the way, on the driving squad there, Nick Foster, who's obviously in one of our own B2 cars here. That rain is teeming down, isn't it?
It is really coming down now. Even
so,
as a Malaysian, I have to say that's quite a lot. We can just see, well, best of luck to Hub Autocorsa, of course, and all the rest of the Ferraris. That is the brunt of the GT class. Don't forget, of course, everyone watching, as our VIP drivers and team managers have said as they've come in, this is the first of a double header almost. Not only do we have the first night race ever in the Asian Le Mans Series happening tomorrow night. It's going to be kicking off at 5 p.m. Malaysian time, and don't, of course, forget qualifying. That's going to be at noon Malaysian time. But then the following week, the finale in Buriram as well. So really, as we've seen, we just had Leonard Hogenboom in the studio with us. This could be the championship-winning weekend for G-Drive.
It most certainly could. It's gone their way. It's gone their way in two ways. One is we saw in Shanghai Roman Rusinov defending his lead and losing that lead at the very end of the race, but then getting that win back with a driver hours miscalculation from Carlin.
Ben Barnicoats,
Yeah, and then in the bend, there's a big slide there for the Inter-Europol P3 car. That's the 18.
Oh, it's a huge slide.
Caught it the first time, didn't catch it the second time. That is Philip Kadori. I think he's enjoying his adventure here. Let's explain before we go back to
the 18.
The 18 cars. This is a change. This is a repeat appearance from the second P3 car in the H1 series after second car appeared at the bend, but with a different number. 14 it was that appeared at the bend. New driver lineup with Philip Kadori, joined by Dan Wells here. And the 18 is all to do with Chinese numerology.
That's
it's
right.
all to do with the fact that the 14 has some negative connotations in Chinese numerology.
As a Hong Kong driver, that would seriously affect him.
It most certainly does. Now, you know what? Here in the Asian Le Mans series, we've been very, very lucky about the timing of everything. Because I'm watching Philip Kadori just drift this thing around. There's not a lot of grip there. We were just about to talk about the season for the number 26 car, the championship leading car. And as we're just about to talk about that, who should step in but the godfather of the 26 car? This is one of the most experienced LMP2 drivers on the planet. Roman Rusinov, welcome to the booth. Welcome, of course, again to the Asian Le Mans series. I don't think I've seen you without a smile on your face all season. You seem to be liking it here.
You know, I try to smile every time, whatever happens. You know,
yeah.
I just try to smile. You know, no, I think we did not a bad job. I'm really happy that I'm not driving now because it's raining and it's really hard. You know, it's slippery. It's a very fast track. It's really nice to be here. Yeah. But yeah, let's see. You know, we have qualifying tomorrow, and then the race is 4 hours.
Put the youngsters in. Let them do the hard work now. You do the fast stuff, and then you can go to the bar later with the bragging rights.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about this effort. We've seen G-Drive Racing with a number of partner teams in the European Le Mans Series, in the WC, with big success. You're going back to Le Mans, of course, thanks to the success you've had in the European Le Mans Series. We've seen that the car will be back in that astonishing grid, again with TDS Racing for the coming year. But you're here with another different team, with Sam and Stuart Cox. Tell us a little bit about the vibe at Algarve Pro Racing. You seem to be enjoying that atmosphere.
Yeah, to be honest, I really enjoy European Le Mans Series, but I'm even more enjoying Asian Le Mans Series now. You know, we go to the nice races, nice countries. Yeah, the tracks are really nice for this car. I think maybe it's even better than in European Le Mans Series.
Wow.
Yeah, really.
You heard it.
The team is really nice. It's very professional. I was really surprised because before you never know, and then you arrive in Algarve, and it's really professional. It's really good, and I think the guys are doing a really great job. And happy. Yeah, my teammates has also get some experience, and I think yeah, we have everything here. But yeah, racing, you never know. We need to finish. You know, I think it's okay, guys. Let's just finish it. Don't
exactly.
drive, don't crash, don't make mistakes. And if we do it in this way, I believe the result will be not too bad.
I'm not going to ask you the question about what happens if the championship comes your way, because of course there is a Le Mans entry that goes with that. We won't ask you that because that's a sort of commentator's curse. I am going to ask you, because we've talked before about this, but I think our listeners and viewers would like to hear it from you, about the Hours brand. Tell us a little bit about what is a bit of a new name to many people outside your country.
Yeah, I think Hours came in motorsport last year in European Le Mans Series, and in Le Mans, Hours is a new automobile brand who's building limousines. Yeah, the car was presented during inauguration of our president, and I think it's really important for me to be in the Russian team with the Russian car and winning with all this package. I think it's something special, and to have a Russian flag on the podium.
On that note, you've just said exactly these are the first times that these Russian flag, Russian team. What's the feedback been like from Mother Russia itself? The success so far? Have you heard anything?
You know, I think when you're on the podium with a Russian car, with a Russian team, with a Russian flag, yeah, what more I can say? You know, I think this is quite successful, and we already built a success story.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I can tell you that's been a definite result of the success you've had so far is that the Hours of Sepang will be the first time we'll have had live broadcasting in Russian.
That's right.
For the Asian Le Mans Series. That's a major step forward for this package. That must give you a lot of reason to have another smile. There's going to be an even bigger one.
Even bigger smile there. Officially, the smiliest person so far we've met today.
Lots of smiles.
But it's quite important. You need to smile.
Yeah, exactly. Positive attitude.
Smile, you know. Don't go on TV. It's exactly what you should do, and you know it's better than me. Come on.
It's true. It's true.
I think it's important in the race team to have a good atmosphere. The smile. You need to push hard. Always people say that I may be too hard to rush the people, but at the end of the day, if we do that, it's the way to be successful.
Yep.
To be hard in order to make a nice job. And I think this is the key to have a good results.
You've been with us in LMP2 for almost as long as I can remember. I mean, back 2012, I remember the WEC, you were part of that. But
Have you seen how many grey hair I have? More than you.
You and me both, pal.
And you know what is funny is I am still gold.
You may be gold there, but he's silver at the top. But tell me a little bit about, you've lived through several iterations of LMP2, the open-top cars, the Nissan engines and the Judds, then into the first generation of the coupes, and now with these Gibson engine cars. Tell us a little bit, Roman, about, we just had a quick chat with Leonardo about his impressions as a young driver, but you with many more kilometres on the clock in LMP2. Tell us a little bit about what you as a driver get from those cars.
Yeah, I think I drove all kind of cars, Formula, GT cars, and LMP2 I think is the best cars to drive. You have a lot of downforce, especially when you go on the fast tracks like Le Mans or Sepang here. I believe Buriram will be the same. And yeah, it's just incredible how nice it is to drive. Even if you take the first generation car, which was Orica 03, it was the open car. It was still very impressive, very hard to drive. Then I think my favorite was 05. And now we arrived to Hours 01, and for sure this is the fastest one. You know, I think we beat track records in Paul Ricard, in Australia, just a bit everywhere. You know, I think it's quite good.
Final question for you is just to look a little bit forward. You're very proud of your role with G-Drive, with Auris. We're about to enter a new era in sports car racing. I'm sure you watched, as we all did, with real interest what was going on with convergence, with the LMDH class coming together. Two things that I can think will come from that. One is new manufacturers may well be looking now towards sports car racing for the first time. And the second thing is, if they do, then of course LMP2 becomes a very different marketplace with young drivers looking to do what they can do to impress the factories. Where would you like to see the brands that you're associated with racing, with or without you at the wheel, Roman? You know, whatever role you decide to take going forward, what would you like to see with Auris and with G-Drive in 3 and 4 years' time?
You know, I think what is important is to evaluate how much it will cost, because at the end of the day, what is important, why everybody is asking, oh, why you're not doing WEC? Yeah, because it's just too expensive, you know, so we're doing European Le Mans Series in Asian. It's all about, okay, you need to do a good job, and in order to do a good job, you need to find a partnership to settle the perfect, let's say, race plan in order to have a chance, maybe, to fight for a win. Okay, so
that is a good attitude, Roman.
So if you put all that together, and then on the paper you need to put the right drivers, the right silver, you will love my silver this year in the European Le Mans Series.
Oh dear.
And you add that plan with a smile, and that's what does it.
Exactly.
I've known him a long time. He's got something up his sleeve, believe it.
Yeah. But and then you arrive in Le Mans, and this is the most difficult one. It's so long, you know, and even before starting the race, you're already tired of everything, you know, with the autograph sessions, of the driver's parade, when you need to wait for like 3 hours before going in, and then they put like all these private cars before you, and then you became crazy, you know. So, and then you arrive in Le Mans, and then it's 24 hours, and you never know. Even if you have the fastest package, it doesn't say that you're going to win, you know. And I think we proved it.
The race decides, doesn't it? The race decides. So, final question, going to put you on the spot.
Yes, come on.
Would you like to see an Auris LMDH go for the overall win at Le Mans? And do you think that's a possibility at some point in the near or medium-term future?
I think everything is possible. First, as I told you, we need to look on the regulation. We need to understand how much it will cost, okay? Because it's a lot of rumors. So they're going, Rebellion is going, now they're not going, you know. So it's just too many things going. I think let's focus on what we're doing.
Yeah.
Try to do our the best job, and then if you want to dream about, why not? You know, or maybe I will go in rally. You know, to be honest, I really love the Silkway. You know, as the Dakar. I think this is also a good opportunity. But yeah, for sure, I love Le Mans. This is the number one. I love endurance. I love European Le Mans Series, Asian Le Mans Series, WEC. I think it's very nice atmosphere, especially when you're having in Le Mans and you think, okay, now is the main one, so let's go for it. And it's impressive when you have 500,000 people watching you, and yeah, it's just best event in the world. So if you have never been here, you have to go in Le Mans.
Fantastic. Roman, enjoy the rest of this weekend.
Thank you, guys.
Do what you can as we're going just about to go to full course yellow, by the way, with 14 minutes to go on this one. And let's see what happens in terms of the championship after the next couple of races.
Fantastic.
Roman Rusinov, great to have here time with Roman.
Now, getting back to the session, I hope you guys have been enjoying the free practice session on so far. As you can see, the rain is abated a tiny bit. Full course yellow on now. Why has that happened?
Full course yellow, I think it's because car 18, we saw that car with a little bit of a difficulty earlier, but is it still Philip Kadori at the wheel of that car? And the answer is it is, and he's off track at turn 6, stopped off track, yellow flag there, and it's a full course yellow for recovery of Philip and the car.
As you've said before, in free practice sessions, generally speaking, they like to put a full course yellow on. This is obviously caused, but they do like to run through the protocol.
They do. I mean, look, we've got one of the most experienced race directors in the world, certainly the most experienced endurance race director in the world, Eduardo Freitas. Remarks is with him this weekend. He'll be our race director next weekend at Buriram as the track workers here get busy. But yes, when we're running through free practice periods, Eduardo and the race control team like to run through some of the procedures. That includes some of the pit lane procedures, but in particular full course yellow. And that, of course, is even more important when you're actually running, for some of these guys, running the first time in darkness. With or without the floodlights, it's still different.
Absolutely.
Things like we don't have flags in Hours of Darkness. We have reflective boards there, and he will want the teams and the drivers to get experiences of that. As the 18, it's going to be recovered, I think, by the look of it, back to the track. So hopefully it won't be too much longer before we're back to green flag running. Now, we talked about one of the very experienced guys we've got here in the top team, the Asian Le Mans Series. Delighted to be joined by one of the others, and sitting next to me, it's the boss, so we've got to be behaving ourselves.
That's right. Button the shirts up.
Cyril Teshwalan, it's a delight to welcome you to the booth.
Hi, Graham. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Jeevan.
Yes.
It does seem to me that you've got a bit of a reputation in international endurance racing. Don't look worried.
I'm waiting for the end of the question.
And that is springing a surprise with calendars. We've been to the Bend. We all had an absolute ball at the Bend. The teams loved it. It's a long way to go, of course it is. Extraordinary track. We're here with the first night race for the Asian Le Mans Series under the floodlights. And we also know, we'll talk about that in a moment, that we've got another new track, another new blue ribbon track to come to start next season. You're beginning to adopt what's been a trademark smile for everybody we've actually had in the booth. So tell me a little bit about your vision.
Another box ticked, you know. But now the Bend in Australia has been a real great venture for the whole paddock, for sure. That was amazing, and I'm glad that we managed to bring Asian Le Mans to Australia, because it was something, you know, in the pipe, in our mind for quite a long time. And as I said many times already, when I met with Sam Shaheen the first time, it was obvious that we had something to do with him and try to really bring the reference endurance racing series in Australia.
I'm going to stop you for a moment and say, by the way, if you're watching in, Sam, get well soon. Nasty accident just a couple of weeks afterwards at Bathurst. You know, significant challenges for Sam with the injuries he suffered there. Get well soon. We're all rooting for you. We had a great week there. Everybody enjoyed the hospitality and the welcome we got from the Australian team and the Australian fans as we go back to green flag running with 36 minutes of this session to go.
And it was unbelievably staged. It's not the easiest track to get to at times. I think there's a lot of challenges in terms of teams.
But it was worth the trip.
It was easily worth the trip. I think the race delivered itself as well.
Yeah, bringing LMP cars back in Australia 20 years after the race of 1,000 years meant something for us, sure.
Now, looking to this season, you've got this almost a double-header finale. You've got this first landmark night racing, then Buriram. How have you been approaching this week in terms of setting it up?
I remember having had that interview with Graham at the end of last season here in Sepang.
Always difficult.
Talking about how we would manage the calendar for the 1920 season. And we knew, because of all the constraints we are having in that time of the year, which is winter and a very narrow window to play with, not clashing with major international sporting events, not clashing with Chinese New Year.
Obviously.
It's getting quite complicated to fit a proper calendar, and hence the reason why we decided that this back-to-back option was the best we have in hands at the time. Yeah, I'm very happy because we are enjoying this first ever night race, which is, to my opinion, something which is contributing towards the attractiveness of the calendar this season, in addition to having been to Australia.
Landmarks, there's landmarks throughout the
because
entire year.
it gives all these teams and drivers, especially, of course, that first extra bit of taste of what Le Mans is about for those not having raced ever in Le Mans. It's very well lit. And on TV, I have to say, it just comes out like
it's fabulous.
Mega.
Great.
So that's.
It's like these cars were born to race at night. I mean,
yes.
and one of the things
exactly. And you looking at the footage and looking how it looks now, it's pretty amazing. Having a chat with the drivers between the two free practice sessions today, they are all enjoying it because this is very important. This is part of what Le Mans is about, racing at night. And I'm glad that we have a little bit of this here in Sepang.
Sepang, of course, a circuit with huge heritage at the very highest levels of motorsport, with Formula One, MotoGP here, of course. But let's talk about the coming season. You've not yet revealed the full calendar. We're hoping we're going to hear about that next week.
Yes, this is something for next week.
Okay,
but next week, hopefully,
but there is one.
We will be in a position to announce the 2020-2021 calendar. But no, this is a conversation for next week for sure.
But you have announced the first round.
Yes, we did.
And that's another tick box.
Correct.
Blue ribbon track that all these drivers and many more are going to want to come to, because it's a return for the first time in decades for international sports car racing, as opposed to GT racing, international sports car racing, to
Suzuka.
Yeah.
That's the one. That's the one.
And but yes, we're delighted. We wanted to go back to Japan. It's a must. This year, not having a race in Japan, but having managed to attract 4 Japanese teams, including one in LMP2, is something which is very important. It says a lot about the potential, because you know, for 5 years now we are establishing Asian Le Mans as a premium series, the reference and racing series in the region. And it's very important that we have attracted as much as 9 GT teams, 3 of them coming from Japan, 1 in LMP2. The interest is getting there. So for us, starting the season in Suzuka, going back to Japan is something which is, I think, going to contribute towards an even greater attractiveness for next season calendar.
It's also the quality of having Japanese motorsport, which has been so established for so many years.
Correct.
Those tracks in Japan are not new. They have been used by some of the greatest names in the world. So to start attracting that level of, it's football and motorsport basically that Japan have always excelled in. That gives that extra sheen to the championship, right?
And of course, and again, being able to bring LMP cars, Le Mans cars to Suzuka, is something which is, it's going to be mega. And talking with drivers and team managers, this is something which has been perceived and welcomed like a very, very good news.
We've got 2 other things with the Asian Le Mans series in the calendar this year and the calendar next year, next season, which is we're back to Japan. You've been to Australia, 2 marketplaces, hugely mature marketplaces for a very well-established national motorsport scene, but with a tradition perhaps less than some other nations involved in international sports car racing of exporting those massive talents into the biggest races. And all of a sudden, we're seeing that begin to bear fruit. We've got Australians and Kiwi drivers on the grid here. We had lots of them at the Bend. It will be the same, I'm sure, with Japan and with local teams looking to actually join us.
It's all about taking time and hard work which is needed to create these kind of bridges. We have bridged Asian Le Mans and the ACO type of racing with the different countries we go racing in the APAC region. And as a result of the hard work we are doing with the team for 5 years, we are seeing now these Japanese teams, Japanese drivers coming and racing Asian Le Mans, these Australian Kiwi drivers joining us. I think we will
Well, it's been-
enjoy.
yeah,
We
yeah.
should enjoy an even better season in 2020, 2021.
I also want to congratulate you on something which I don't think has got enough of an airing, which is the GT class this year. And okay, the series has had a few challenges thrown at it by external factors. You know, we don't need to go into the details of all of that, but your GT class this year, big growth for it in terms of both the breadth of teams and makes involved, as well as the kind of quality, but an almost exclusively Asian-based GT. That is extraordinary. Now, okay, kudos to the fact there is now an infrastructure for GT racing across Asia, but good news too that you've got some of those teams looking to do more than just one thing. That they're actually looking to see what they can do, not just to be successful in national and regional GT racing, but in international sports car racing as well, and loving it. Talking to D Station, talking to the J-Lock guys, talking to the Indonesian guys at T2.
And don't get me wrong, these teams are very good teams.
Oh,
in
yeah.
the championship, they already competed in their national championships, I would say. And this is, yes, having 90% of the GT team entered by Asian-based team is something which is really important, and more of these teams are considering Asian Le Mans as a championship to win, and also, of course, an opportunity for them to maybe get a Le Mans invite,
That's
because
what it's all
more and
about.
more of them have realized that Asian Le Mans is quality-wise, quantity-wise, a platform which is the perfect springboard for them to go step up the ladder, the ACO racing pyramid, WEC or Le Mans, both. But this is, we are starting to harvest, you know.
Yeah. Valid, respected channel.
Well,
Yeah, exactly.
drivers and teams.
there's a great example, isn't there? That example proves a point, and the example last year that I'm sure unlocked the door for many of your selling points, and I'm sure for many of the points that these teams have come with, Car Guy, a team based at Fuji International Speedway that went out and won that championship and went to Le Mans in their first year. Now, you know, you were there.
And they did well.
They did fantastically well, and that what for them was a 2 to 5 year program to get to Le Mans. They did it in year one.
Yeah.
Now, clearly, you've got other teams now that would like a little bit of a piece of the action, but the more teams we get, the more difficult a challenge that becomes.
And the more and more we'll see Asian-based teams going to Le Mans, stepping up the ladder and showing how capable they are. Remember what Eurasia did.
Yeah, absolutely.
Eurasia, when they went to Le Mans for the first time, I think they finished first non-WEC in LMP2.
Yeah.
And when they went to Europe to compete in the ELMS, they finished 4th and 5th respectively,
Yep.
the 2 seasons they competed in the
Yep.
ELMS. These teams are very much enjoying Asian Le Mans and using Asian Le Mans as a base to grow the LMP business, I would say.
And
because we are on a mission. Of course, we need both LMP cars and GT cars, but we are also here in Asia to grow the basis of LMP racing, starting from LMP3. This is where we are a little bit weak still, and we have lots to do when it comes to growing the LMP3 field through Asian-based teams. But I think that looking at the entry list, looking at the newcomers, looking at the GT teams coming back, everywhere we start seeing the lights flashing green, or greener and greener. And I can't wait for next week, hopefully being able to announce the 2020-2021 calendar and see the reaction.
Well, it's a knock-on effect as well. Over the last 3 years, we've seen a lot of teams from everywhere around the world, different continents that have come and raced. And I think the most important thing here, I think you'd agree, is that they get that experience when they're here, a good experience. So wherever they go, whatever team it is, even if they compete again, they will go to other races, they'll go to other championships, say that Asian Le Mans series, absolutely valid. It is solid. It is the way to go. We had a great time racing there. If they come back, they can come back. But there's a lot of factors with coming back every year.
They have a great experience, not only because of what we are doing in terms of media exposure, which is great, but also because of the level of competition they find here and they are against.
We're going to call it
Just quickly, we have to interrupt.
Absolutely, full course yellow out there at the moment. Not quite sure exactly
I
what's...
think I actually saw while we were talking that I think it was one of the Lamborghinis that had a spin. Maybe
J-Lock car.
Maybe a result of that rainstorm, which looks like it's a
Oh no, it's one of the Rick
not.
Ware cars. It is
Look
one of
at
the Rick
that.
Ware cars. That is, by the look of that one.
Oh, that's the second one, because the J-Lock did spin as well.
So just looking at where cars are, both cars out on track. It's an outlap for Guy Cosmo. Cody, it says car 5. That is not car 5. That is either the 52 or the 25. So that's either Guy Cosmo or it's Cody Ware. And it's Cody, it's Cody Ware. It's the 25 car. Sorry, it's the 25 car. It's Guy Cosmo
right now.
So it's not the championship leading car. And the LMP2 AM class, an interesting one. First time we've ever had the opportunity to see two generations of LMP2 car racing side by side. A couple of woes for a couple of our full season contenders. And by the way, message to Mira Konopka, we're really sorry you can't be with us, big guy. We're rooting for what's going on back with you and with the reasons why you've not been able to make it out here. But another unique thing about this season, where we've had this opportunity, these fantastic Gibson engine cars, and what a big hit they've been with the crowds we've actually seen at the Asian Le Mans Series against LMP2 Classic. Now, I'm not going to nail you down on this one. Is this the last we're going to see of the old generation this year? What do we think?
I think, first, that it was a bet for us when we thought that it would be the only way for this ongoing season to grow the LMP2 field. It was about time to introduce the 2017 spec cars for sure. We saw an opportunity in growing the field by keeping the old spec cars as well. It worked. Having 11 LMP2 cars as a whole is something which is very good for Asia. Obviously, we are considering the opportunity to get rid of the old spec cars and keep running the LMP2 class with the 2017 spec cars only, because not because that we don't want, on the principle, because people love these cars. It's about availability of chassis. We've seen what happened after the 05 code fire in the ARA 05 code fire at the Bend. It's complicated.
Yep.
Engine rebuild, spare part supply, and at some point you will see the future LMP2 generation car which will be introduced in a few years. So we can't keep going that long with the old spec cars. So I think, but you know what? To my opinion, it is a must that we keep an LMP2 AM class in the championship next season, be it with the 2017 spec cars.
Fantastic.
And reward those guys with an opportunity to win.
It's not been officially made as a decision, but this is what we are probably aiming at doing, because it's just what makes sense.
We're going to leave it for that for the moment, because you've got important stuff to do.
He's a busy man.
He's a very busy man. He's got all sorts of invoices to sign off.
Yours.
We're going to go back to green flag running in less than 10 seconds' time.
Cyril, thanks for joining us, Cyril.
Absolutely. Thank you very much indeed for your time.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Graham.
It's always a delight to actually be here and covering the Asia Le Mans Series. Enjoy this, because I think this has got a bit of a special feel.
Very special feeling, especially when I watch a division. I mean, night racing for me, it's like, goosebumps opportunity. Yeah.
So we're sure we'll be seeing you qualifying, of course, at race as well. So have a great one, and best of luck for the weekend.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me.
No worries.
Thanks very much, Cyril Teichval, we are back to green flag running with just 22 minutes left to run. And with that rain mid-session, no major improvements, certainly at the top of. No major improvements at the top of the times of any of those classes. Track beginning to get a little bit drier. And
So we've got about 20 minutes left in the session now, Graham.
20 minutes is going to be a short time to actually catch up with another of the very experienced guys we've got in the Asia Le Mans Series. Delighted to welcome him back to the Asia Le Mans Series, Guy Cosmo. Guy, back in an LMP2 AMCAR with Rick Ware Racing. That was a bit of a surprise for me. I'm hoping not for you, but yeah, we've got you aboard with... Are we going to see Phil this weekend?
Yeah, that's the plan.
Excellent. And with Anthony Lazzaro, the last man standing from the race for 1,000 years last time out.
That's right.
It's not the youth car, is it?
No. Hey, now. Wow. He went right there. I'm not that old.
I'm not talking about you, fella. I mean, obviously, you're just, what, 28, 29?
We were talking generally. We were referring to this as generally.
You're just digging yourselves deeper. Here I am as a guest on this show, you know? And, you know, okay, let's just add to that. Despite what you saw on the screen, that was not me that was stuck in the gravel trap.
Was that Cody?
Was it the 25 car?
Yeah. I thought it was 25.
I think that was Anthony.
Oh,
okay,
right.
then our mistake there.
But he had just gone out, and I tried to brief him on what was still damp and wet because it was raining right as I came in. But he doesn't usually do that, so we're going to give him one here.
So imagine a bus. That's Guy Cosman here just throwing Anthony underneath that bus.
Completely.
I know where you tweet from.
It was not my fault. That was not me.
Let's get back on track here. Second season in this third season of this championship.
Third season, yeah.
Third season of this championship. And from a position where I think the last time we spoke before meeting again the Asia Le Mans Series paddock, you were working really very hard. It's part of what a professional race driver does that no one really sees outside the industry, is just how tough it is to draw together these deals. And here we are with you with two. Let's talk about this one first, the Rick Ware Racing effort. You've been here in LMP3 cars and had success. You've been here in LMP2 cars and had success. You're back with LMP2 AM and part of the Rick Ware Racing squad that looks like coming home with a 1-2 finish in this championship for all sorts of reasons, but not least because the cars have come home. Enjoying it?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. You know, racing in this championship was just something I never thought I would be doing. And when Patrick Byrne and I found that opportunity 2 seasons ago, it wasn't so last minute, but it was just a really surprise deal. It came together in just a unique way, and it caught us by surprise, and we just had the greatest experience. It was great on many levels, right? For Patrick's development as a driver, for his first championship, you know, his first true pro championship, and we won it. And then we had the opportunity to come back with our friends at United Autosports, fantastic team, and we nearly won it, right? It was this race last year, 30 minutes to go in the lead, leading the championship, and the gearbox broke. So, but to be back here for a third season is, I love it. I'm so proud to be able to race in this series and to race abroad. You know, I love where I come from, and I love racing in North America, but to be able to broaden my horizons and gain these new experiences at all of these wonderful tracks. I mean, they're F1 circuits.
Fantastic.
The FIA and ACO format, and having Eduardo as our race director, it's just, this is Le Mans. This is the Le Mans series, and this is where every driver wants to be. So to have 3 seasons of this under my belt, to hopefully get to the 24-hour of Le Mans. You know, we won that entry and we couldn't take up on it, so that was disappointing. But, you know, to be a part of this family and progress towards that goal of getting to Le Mans is fantastic.
It opens two doors for further conversation. One is about your plans that are now out there in public with Patrick, which is great news with Bentley in the SRO series in North America, and that must be something you're looking forward to greatly. Yeah,
that's going to be great. You know, very strong team with K-Pax Racing, and the Bentley has been phenomenal. They just won at Bathurst. We've got everything we need in front of us to have a really competitive effort for this season, so I'm really excited. Patrick just drove the car yesterday, loved it, but I miss having him here. You know, he was my co-champ for these past 2 seasons.
Look at the timing screen. A Bentley would fit in nicely there.
It sure would, yeah, it really
that'd
would.
be quite
so,
nice.
Guy, those were great seasons. This season's been one of the most competitive at Asian Le Mans that we've seen.
Yeah.
How has it been playing out for you so far? We're at a halfway point before we get to the night race tomorrow. What's it been like?
It's been great, you know, but we missed the first round. So with Phil Mulicek spearheading the effort for the second car with Rick Ware Racing, it just didn't come together in
The
time.
logistics, right? The car.
And actually, I wasn't even privy to the fact that they were trying to put it together to start the season, so I didn't find out about this whole effort until after Shanghai, and then pretty quickly before the bend, in Australia was upon us, I got a phone call and said, hey, why don't you come to Asia and do this again? So the team's been phenomenal. Antonio Ferrari from Euro International is running the program for Rick Ware Racing, and he's doing a phenomenal job. I mean, he knows how to get it done. They just won the championship in LMP3 and the European Le Mans Series, so it's a great effort. It's wonderful people. We're having fun. It's competitive. But because we missed that first round, the team will win the championship with Cody in the 52 car. So that's our mission. We need to make sure that they secure the championship win, that they get the entry or the auto invite to Le Mans, and that we have fun the rest of the time. So I would say, I don't know if we can race.
But it's targeted. You got a targeted division.
Oh, of course. I mean, we
you're
still
moving
have to
forward.
get it done, but I think, we want those guys to have their success, and then next week it's on. It is on. So you never know what happens. I mean,
turn one, send it.
there's so many decisions to make when you have that helmet on. So many decisions.
I want to go back to something. We've had a range of guests in, some very young drivers, some older drivers. Douglas Khoo's been with us. Your position in the industry is not unique. There's a lot of guys like you, professional race drivers, that have got to find a way to make this work as a career. Because with a little bit more life experience come responsibilities with a family and with a mortgage, I'm sure. And but still, I know, because we've talked about this, what drives you is it's that dream. It's what is there on the horizon, what is possible. We've mentioned Le Mans, we keep mentioning Le Mans. That must be like kind of sweet torture. What does that race mean in your lexicon, in your bucket list, in everything that drives you forward? Tell me, we all know it's the biggest endurance race in the world. That's fine if you're doing what I'm doing, or you're hanging on the fence or sitting in a grandstand seat or a hospitality booth. But it's a professional race driver who has made his living in this sport for how long now?
Sports car racing, 17. This will be my 17th season of sports car racing.
Wow.
What does that mean? The potential, the opportunity to go.
It means everything. I don't want to minimize anything else I've done with my career. I'm very fortunate to have done all the things that I've done, especially coming from a place where it wasn't expected. Not from a racing family.
Right.
Whatever you want to say about my abilities, I have not won all of the things I would have liked to have won. There's a lot of things I didn't accomplish with my career, but I have made a true living as a paid professional race car driver for 17 years, and I'm very thankful for it. But to have that opportunity to race at Le Mans, that is it. Because when you do that, now it opens the door to be able to go and do it again. I can't tell you how many full season race programs I was declined because I had no experience at Le Mans. Now this is dating back at least 5 years and before then. So to just get there and do it is going to open the door to be able to do it many more times. So there's a lot of race drivers out there that have accomplished a lot, and they started racing at an older age than I am currently, which is not as old as you think I am. But,
It's the best way you could have said that.
I have to do it.
You're as old as you feel. Feel about 33.
That's right. I'm feeling 33.
I think all three of us can say we're as old as we
But you
feel.
ask, it's a great question, though, because it's not just the event.
No.
It's the racetrack.
Yeah.
It is so I did the Road to Le Mans the first year it came out, and I set the lap record for P3.
Oh,
just
really?
To say. Which has since been obliterated, right? Everyone's gone way faster. Thanks, guys. But it is the coolest racetrack I have ever driven.
Yeah.
Outside of Spa and the Nürburgring, but it's just there's just magic there. It's unbelievable, and I've got to do it.
It's the event as well. The scale. The vibe, and it's when you arrive, it's special. We had Douglas Khoo in earlier, and of course Douglas came with his team,
glowing,
and it was almost tears in the eyes when you think back of it.
It's an emotional experience.
I wish you every good luck in finding a way there.
Thank you.
I know how hard you've worked to make that happen. I know you're working with people now and into the future that I hope will open the door that we do see you there, because I look forward to the day when we see you in the Plaster Republic
I really appreciate
for
that.
public scrutineering, and I know we're going to have that trademark Guy Cosmo smile. For now, get out there and enjoy it. Guy Cosmo, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Guy.
Thank you guys, really appreciate it.
Now, before we go any further, there's 10 minutes left in the in FP2, so you can see just a quick shout out to all the people that have got in touch on the live stream on the Facebook page. We've had a lot of comments coming in from all over Asia, and as far as Cheshire in England as well. A lot of Team Hours fans, I can tell you that. Thanks for getting in touch, and I'm glad that you're all enjoying this absolutely free-for-all talk with some of the VIPs that we've had. A big thanks to Roman Rusinov, Tom Gamble, Cyril Tashwallen, Douglas Khoo, and of course Guy Cosmo for joining us in the studio today.
And
that was
Leonardo
really special. And Leonardo Hogenboom's all. By the way, since he left us, and we don't know if this is linked or not, but since he left the studio, he's now topping the driving charts in FP2.
Wow. No, it's still Roman Rusinov's time there. But what we are beginning to see as this track dries out is improvements in time. And one of them, a significant improvement from Sean Thong in the Orica 07 from K2 Chino Racing, returning to the championship after missing the bend with Haruki Kurosawa unable on doctor's orders to leave home in Japan. Right. But third quickest, 1:54.941. That's a couple of improvements we've seen for the 96 car. So they're finding form this evening. No change at the top of the LMP3 order, and no change either in the top two of GT, although the third place car, now another Ferrari. It's a Ferrari 123. It is Davide Rigon at the moment aboard the 27 Hub Auto Corsa car. T2 Motorsports, Rio Haryanto is now aboard that car. That's its second quickest, the 75 car. Car Guy in the hands of Com Ledegar at the moment. An outlap as I speak, but the number 7 car third. Then the Lamborghini Huracan from J-Lock, Aston Martin, Vantage GT3. We had Tom Gamble in, of course, a little earlier, the 77 car. And on pit lane at the moment, the 51 car for Spirit of Race props up that 6 car GT grid this weekend. Of course, we've lost 2 or 3 of the regular season GT cars, various logistical difficulties.
That's right, the BMWs.
The BMWs not going to be joining us this weekend.
It's a shame. Lovely cars.
It is a shame, but a couple of changes and additions elsewhere in this grid. We're looking now at the fastest car in the GT class as we come into the last 8.5 minutes. This was the pole-sitting car, of course, last time out at the bend, but this car just seemed to drop off in competitiveness. I think suffered a bit of damage early on in the race at the bend. Didn't have the results of the race that the team were looking for. This is a team that Nick Foster has had great success with in GT3 racing. Nick now, of course, with the Eurasia team in LMP2, but I know he's still rooting for his old mates in the Hub Auto Corsa team. Davide Rigon, Ferrari factory driver aboard the car here. He'll be replaced next time out in Buriram with that clash with the WC by brand new, newly minted Ferrari factory driver Daniel Serra. And if you don't know Daniel, Brazilian driver, trust me, that is a very good replacement indeed. A very rapid
so we will
GT
know
car.
Him, then. If you don't know him, we will.
Well, he's a Le Mans winning driver twice over, and one of the very few that has won Le Mans in the GT classes for 2 different makes. Won it with Aston Martin, won it with Ferrari, and I rate him very highly indeed. It was no surprise at all to see him named as a fully fledged Ferrari GT factory
we've
driver.
had a change. Nick Cassidy is now put in a pretty blinding lap by the looks of it.
That's a very quick lap indeed. That's I think is showing that we've now got as close to a full dry track as it's going to get this evening. Again on the lines, and this is you know, I think that was Nick. Was it going by there in the New Zealand livery car? You know a bit more about this climate than I do, Jivan, and it doesn't seem 5 minutes ago, it was a few more than 5 minutes that we were getting teeming rain, and now we're getting Nick Cassidy going round at a 1:51.950.
You know, Graham, in all the championships that I've watched here and the championships that I've commentated here, I can tell you that this is one of the very few tracks in the world where within the space of a lap, you can actually have one half of the track completely soaked and the other half dry. And that, of course, just puts a really serious problem to team mechanics as to what you run with, whether it's dry tires or wets. You just don't know what to do.
Here's the other point here is, I've been here when we've had solid rain for Asia Le Mans Series races a number of times, and one of the other extraordinary things about this racetrack is you can have a very heavy shower hitting this track, and the cars will come through on the start-finish straight to a wet track. By the time they've come around again, it's dry,
it's dry.
Because it's so warm, the track surface is so warm. After a few days baking in the heat, that rain is evaporating within a lap.
Also, about 2 years ago, the Sepang International Circuit officials and owners, of course, actually looked at the drainage systems around some of the corners. They changed the camber of a couple of corners as well. But one of the main issues, they realized how much rain was coming down. They increased the drainage on a lot of corners, so you do get this sudden, quick dry off. The temperature, as you said, helps a great deal as well. So the drainage and the temperature means, as you said, immediate, instant dry off.
Absolutely right. Qualifying simulation, I think, on the way for the teams at the moment. That includes Nick Cassidy in the Eurasia Motorsport team. It also includes, by the way, Com Ledegar, who's out at the moment in the Cargar car. He goes quickest in GT in the last 6 minutes of the session, 2:05.012, and is going quicker again.
Well, as we look, that's the second half of the course. As you can just see what Douglas was saying. Let me just a quick word about the lights. These lights, if you are watching, are not the same intensity as the Singapore F1 Grand Prix lights. 3,000 lux is what they are at. This is 64 lights that were set up about last year, 2018, and they still have absolutely no glare, but they put enough light down on the track, as you can see, that you don't actually need lights on it.
Further improvement, by the way. Eurasia going 1-2 in this session. Nick Foster goes through with 1:53.384, so that's what, 1.5 seconds back from the time set a little while ago by Nick Cassidy, but a few tenths ahead of the time set by Roman Rusinov. Also going quickly at the moment, Matt Besch looks like he's going to make an improvement. The one at the moment is the 7th quickest car. That's the car that was recovered after that lost wheel earlier in the session. And we think probably some punishment coming the way of the Inter-Europol crew, who obviously went to render assistance at a place where they shouldn't. So we'll wait and see what the stewards decide about that one. So 1:53.384 for Nick Foster, plays 1:51.950 from the number 1 Eurasia car. We wait to find out. In fact, Matt Besch does complete that lap. It's not an improvement in time, so a slower third sector for Matt Besch. It's an improvement as well for Ben Barnicoat in the Dallara. He stays 5th, but with an improvement in time. But these times are beginning to come. Com Ledegar improved again last time round, the first man into the 204s, a 204.891. Rio Haryanto improves. He goes 2nd with a 205 dead. So Ferrari 1-2-3, but David Rigon, who started this last 10 minutes top of the shot, is now sitting 3rd. So Ferrari 1-2-3, Eurasia 1-2, LMP3 is a normal 1-2-3 now with the Nielsen Racing car leading both of the Graf Racing cars, 9 and 8. The number 8 car, a new addition here. You'll see that car in the all-black livery. There's Matthias Kaiser aboard that car at the moment. 201.278 plays 201.234 for the sister car sitting 2nd. And about half a second ahead was that effort from Garrett Grist that put the Nielsen Racing 3 car to the top of the order.
Okay, great stuff. Well, I said we're rounding off this session now, and actually both Eurasia cars up front now. We were just talking about how G-Drive were going to have a really good look at, but as they've turned up, this is still, remember everyone watching around the world, free practice 2. Qualifying still to come. We'd love to see this replicated tomorrow if we could, but of course we don't actually know just yet.
Don't miss, by the way, the live coverage for the qualifying sessions and the race tomorrow, both tomorrow. Unusually, we've got qualifying and the 4-hour race on the line tomorrow. Looking for timings in your local area. Keep an eye on the series Twitter, Facebook resources, as well as the series website.
Once again, that's hashtag 4 Hours Sepang, hashtag Asian Le Mans and hashtag Endurance Racing for Asia. Those are the Twitter handles, and of course do get in touch with the comments, as you have been today, with on the Facebook page.
Into the last 2 minutes and looking for any further improvements. There is a further improvement for the 34 car, stays 7th but closing that gap, so 156.135, a bit of a gap to actually make up there. Improvements as well for Ross Gunn in the Aston Martin Vantage. He moves up from 5th to 4th in that car, and an improvement too, albeit for the last car in the 23 car order, 207.640 from Alessandro Pierguidi, as he got something to give us in the last laps of this session. We are now into the final 60 seconds.
In that final 60 seconds, Graham, just one idea is to sum up how this free practice has gone. In fact, both the free practices today. What have you seen?
Not without drama. It does show that this place can throw a weather wrench into the system. It's done it a couple of times with us today. We think we're going to get a bit more of that during the race. Whether or not we get the kind of biblical levels we had free practice 2 is going to be another story. But let's wait and see what tomorrow brings in terms of the weather gods, as well as the other racing gods that will throw luck and I'm sure all sorts of other things into the mix.
Absolutely. Don't forget, qualifying is going to be at 12 o'clock Malaysian time tomorrow. Don't miss that. Then there's going to be a 3-hour break before the race itself, which is going to be 5 p.m. Malaysian time. That's it from us at the commentary box for free practice 2. We'll catch you tomorrow for qualifying and, of course, the 4 hours of Sepang.